What's up, guys? It's Dave from BetSome.com, and today we're going to go over a few daily fantasy sports plays. First up, for quarterbacks, at your high end, high tier price range, we have Tom Brady, 7,700 on DraftKings this week. Brady should have a pretty big game versus the Jags, are the biggest favorite on the board, and a pretty safe bet for a high price tag. We have Tannehill in your second tier for 6,700. He showed some promise in week 2, had a 300-yard game. He's always good for some rushing points, and hopefully he's going to come on like the buzz around him has been. And he's not a bad pick because, again, he's pretty safe at that mid 6K mark for quarterbacks. He's likely to get you 10 to 15 every single game and could have a lot more. At our lowest price range this week, I like Nick Foles against the Steelers at home. The Steelers have a shaky pass defense. They've been getting in a lot of shootouts, and the Rams have scored some pretty good points, especially at home in week 1. So he's 5,200, which is as cheap as it gets, and they're actually should win that game outright if Vegas's line means anything, of them opening at +1 and bouncing around from +1 to 3. So for running backs this week, I have all home backs versus weak teams. I like to do that a lot of times in hopes that the home team will try and control the clock and run the ball a lot more than if they were away. And this is especially true when they get up a couple scores over a bad team. They usually just try and run the clock and just pound the ball. So I like having home running backs versus weak teams. In the highest tier, there's Adrian Peterson and Marshawn Lynch, both at around 7,500 and 7,400. Both against pretty weak teams, weak defenses at home, and both are looking good so far. Peterson had a rough week 1, but he looked pretty good week 2. I like Justin Forsett in the mid-range, but I probably won't put him in too many lineups because I'm not really sure if he's kind of splitting carries right now, and he hasn't looked as good as people thought he would this year so far, but he's still a decent pick that'll get you your 10 points. I like Jonathan Stewart at 4,900, but he is questionable. He is a little bit hobbled. A lot of injuries in the NFL that you got to kind of take into account, especially for running backs, because if they're hobbled, they're probably not going to get 25 to 30 carries. Otherwise, I really like him. At the lowest range, though, is where I really like Dion Lewis and James Starks. Lewis looks like he's the guy on the Patriots. I think they like him more than Blunt. Worst case scenario, they'll use him in third down reception situations, and he'll still get you points. And he's a playmaker. He can slip free and make a huge play at any point. I also like Starks, especially if Lacy isn't playing or if he's hobbled at all, for 3,000. That's as cheap as they get for running backs. So I would take a shot on him. He's on a high-powered Green Bay offense at home, and he's only 3,000. And if Lacy doesn't play much or at all, then he's going to be a great pick. So lastly, for wide receivers, I like Edelman a lot at 7,000, especially if you're going to pick Brady. He's as safe as they get for your high-priced wide receivers. I also like James Jones a lot on Green Bay for your middle range. With the injuries to Green Bay receiving core, he's just been a great pick for the first 2 weeks, and he's still only 4,800. Terrence Williams, the number 1 back for Dallas right now. A lot of injuries on that team too, but whoever's throwing the ball is going to have to throw to him. And if Dallas does get into a hole, he's poised to get a lot of garbage points. So that's it for this week's daily fantasy sports picks, and we'll see you next week on BetSome.com.